Hey YouTube, welcome to another episode of the Undergrad Forum. Now this episode is going to cover something I mentioned in the update video, which is how to take condensed notes to make your overall studying more efficient, more effective, and really just a better use of your time so you can do other things. Now I wish I would have known this in undergrad. It would have made my life so much easier. And the basic principle of this study tool is, I don't know if there's an official name for this, but I was reading some books about how to study effectively and how to do certain things. And the overall message of several books that I read was the exact same thing. Take the content for each class, for a physics class or an English class or for a literature class or for a bio class, the professor gives you some degree of content you need to learn, whether it be like handouts or textbooks or lecture notes or PowerPoints or whatever. So you have material you need to learn. What I did in undergrad, which was a very probably older method and it just took a lot of time, was to sit there, read all of it, think about it as I'm going along, try to memorize it, make flashcards when I need to, write down some notes, mainly just in the book, like in the margins, and do a lot of highlighting. And I would read it all, take my time, go into detail, and then look at everything again when it comes time for the exams. Obviously, this is not the most efficient use of your time. It's great if you want to spend a lot of your time studying and you don't mind, but if you want to be a little bit more effective, the nice thing to do is to just not have to go through all the material again when you're reviewing. That's not exactly effective. So the whole thing, this whole new study method of condensed notes, it concerns the fact of taking all the content you need to learn. That part doesn't change. The hard work is still required of reading through all the material and understanding it and going through it. But what you do while you're reading it, instead of spending so much time highlighting and writing in the margins and such, while doing that, up to you how much you want to do it, you also have the sheet of paper next to you where you're writing down notes as to what you think is important in what you're reading. Whether they be lecture notes, you're going to go through the lecture notes and write down just the important things you need to know. You leave out all the fillers. You leave out all the things that you do not think are important or are going to be on the exam or are key to the course. There's a lot of filler in textbooks and lectures, so you have to kind of filter that out. And that's exactly what you do when you study, so it's nothing new. When you're studying, you're learning the material and you're going through it. Now, instead of just trying to memorize all of it, write it down while you're doing it. That aids you in two ways. One, it's going to help you memorize it better initially, so you're going to learn things because you're writing it down and you're slowing yourself down. And second, you're going to have these notes that are condensed, that contain all the critical information that you then review later. And that's the key. When it comes time to review for an exam, most often, repetition is the key. The more you review, the better you know it. So instead of going through and reviewing all of the content again, all of the textbook pages and chapters, all of the lecture slides, all of the lecture notes, all of the handouts, which at some point, you can do it in undergrad, but you won't be able to do it later, and it's a really big use of your time. So instead of going through everything again, just all you have to do is you have these 5 or 6 pages of condensed notes per lecture, and you just go through those and you just review them and review them. And that repetition is really going to get the information in there and you're going to be thinking about it. Of course, the key here is having good notes. So one thing that's kind of somewhat fearful is, well, what if I don't have good notes and I'm studying things that aren't really all that useful? Well, that's something you have to figure out, because what you're writing on the notes is what you're really memorizing when you're reading something over and when you're reviewing it again for an exam. So you already know what to read, and you automatically distill what's information because it gets stored in your mind. Now, instead of just storing it, write it down. I mean, that's not the best advice, but I'm sure you'll figure that out. That's not the difficult part. The difficult part is just going through, investing all that time learning the material and writing it down. Do not write down things that are easy to remember, things that are easy for you. Write down things that in a week you will not remember off the top of your head. If it's a simple concept, most likely not worth writing down because you already get it. If it's a nuance and some advanced part of it, write it down. You most likely will not remember it in a week. And that's the whole point of the notes. It keeps repetition going on the things that you won't remember and that are obviously important. So that's a new style of studying. It's probably old style, I'm not even sure. but it's something that I came across. I wish I would have known that in undergrad. That would have saved me a lot of time. And I think it's a really effective tool because repetition is key. The more you review the material, the more you see it, the better you're going to be. And that really goes off a principle of a lot of mistakes people make during tests, that they'll get like a test back and they'll wonder, well, I didn't do all that well. Well, then you ask that person, well, how well did you know the material? And they'll say, well, it was pretty familiar. Well, are there any pretty familiar questions on the test that ask you for pretty familiar content? No, everything's pretty detailed and specific. That's where the notes come into play. The repetition allows you to assimilate all the detail and all that little small facts you need to know for the exam. If you just reviewed it once or twice, you just got the big picture. There's a lot of the detail you did not get because you had to spend so much time filtering through everything again. So that's the thing. Try it out. I don't see it hurting you because I'm going to start trying it now. I wish I would have known it earlier, as I've said probably several times in the video. I feel like kicking myself because I didn't think of this. But it's a good plan. Make those condensed notes, review them often. You'll have more free time to do other extracurricular things or do whatever else you like, make YouTube videos. And it's really an effective tool to use. Hopefully you guys like this new short video thing I'm doing. No more part 2s and 3s. Short videos, to the point, condensed videos, just like your notes. And thanks for watching, guys. Feel free to subscribe if you're not a subscriber. If you want, share it with your friends. Up to you. Share the knowledge we're trying to pass around. And if you got comments, if you want to be critical, tell me, I think you're making mistakes. Let me know. That's nothing. There's nothing better than to let me know that I'm making a mistake or you have an edge you want to put on this technique. Let me know, and I'll make a response video, and we'll update. And that's all. That's the best we can do for the YouTube community here. Thanks again for watching, guys, and enjoy your studies.